purpose of the conversation, I would like to get back to, because we haven't touched on this yet, the criticisms that you have with the Whatever podcast. So Brian himself, he says that essentially what you're saying right now is basically revisionist history, and that he was very clear with you that this was going to be a debate and this kind of thing. Um, and I think he's even surprised that you came on. You refused the debate, but would come on for a long form conversation with me. I think that
Because, I mean, there's no way that this is actually true. I think that he's trying to skirt his responsibility for being a horrible communicator with me. I can send you literally every single one of our messages in which, there's no real like, me saying I mean, it's for months. Literally for months, he's trying to fit me in while you're in town, right?
yeah.
Just to do
Well,
and then
that
I
makes
said, "I
sense
don't."
though.
And then I said, "Is this a one-on-one?" I said, "Is there a topic in mind? We have many similar beliefs." As I've said, he said, "Feminism." I said, "What's his claim against conservative feminism?" I doubt this would be a longer than 15-minute debate against my criticisms of the show. He said he spent 2 hours debating someone else on it, so I don't think it would be only 15 minutes. I said, "Listen, Brian, I'm not really a loop debater. I have a few criticisms of the show. I worry this will be a waste of everyone's time." He said, "So maybe we'll have you join on one of the dating paddles then, instead of a 1v1 debate." I said, "I thought that might be better. Don't want to waste your time." He said, "In that case, would December 15th work for you?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Great. Can we go ahead and lock you in for Sunday?" And I said, "Yes, indeed." And then he said he got me down. And then I said, literally 2 weeks, literally then the day of the show, I said, "I've talked to my partner about it. He doesn't want me to go on anymore. So sorry to do this last minute. Got to prioritize that."
All right. Would you be willing if I brought Brian up to discuss this with him so that we could get it
Sure.
figured out? All right.
Sure thing.
Brian, if you're in the chat, if you wanna hop on real quick, I'm gonna send you the link in your Discord so that you can pop on and we can just get this hashed out. Because he seems to think that there's something else there that happened. So if you're willing to have that conversation, we'll just
Yeah, of course.
get it out of the way.
Yeah.
1 second here.
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, I only caught bits and pieces of the conversation that you guys were having. So, yeah. And by the way, I'm not really, I'm just kind of out and about with my day. But I guess my confusion is, so Lav said, hey, Andrew was berating these women. He's so mean. He's a big meanie pants. But the initial offering to you, Lav, was to come on and do what you're precisely doing right now with Andrew, which is a one-on-one debate or conversation, to which you declined. And then we
Mhm.
said, okay, well, we'll we'll put you on the dating talk panel, and what we wanted to discuss in a one-on-one format, because you said, oh, it would only take 30 minutes or 15 minutes to talk with Andrew about this. So we're like, okay, you didn't want to do the 1v1, even though we were still willing to do it. We'll throw you on the dating talk panel. We'll have that specific segment on the dating talk panel. And then the day before, you had all these objections to Andrew's conduct. And then you flaked on us, which my interpretation, it seemed very malicious. And you were kind of sarcastic and bratty when I was like, hey, this is really inconvenient for us. We've been trying to schedule this for a while. You wanted to come back on. We wanted to have you back on. And then for you to just kind of in this very bratty, rude way, flake on us before because of your Andrew's alleged meanness, it just seemed kind of ridiculous.
Okay, well, there's a couple things that are happening now. I think one, I didn't want to talk to Andrew one on one or I didn't want to have a debate with Andrew one on one on your platform. There's well, one thing in the meta, I think that you've sort of mischaracterized me as a feminist against what Andrew is saying, and you did the same thing with Michael Knowles. You wanted me on to debate Michael Knowles, even though we have almost exactly the same talking points, exactly the same. We end up exactly the same place. And so I said I couldn't do that, or I said I wasn't really going to be anything like good on that. And then you did the same thing with Andrew, and I told you, hey, me and Andrew end up in a lot of the same places. I don't think that would be fun to watch. You said he can have a debate about anything, and I said I don't really want to waste your time. I don't think that that's going to be especially good content, which I read out loud in our messages.
Seems like it's
And
especially
then
good content.
uh, Well, I think having this discussion, if we would have, what he wanted is what I thought was that he was positioning like the way that he would position Pixie against you, which was not going to be the case for our conversation. I think it would have been an interesting conversation to do this, but I didn't want to. I thought that what he wanted was something different.
This
and I
is the
told him
way
that.
my debates. Didn't you watch the debates I had with the feminists on whatever? This is the way that those debates go. Just like
I
we're
watched
talking
your
right now.
I watched your debates with Pixie and I think Straighterade, and I thought that
I debated with
and I
Straighterade.
He has
was it Straighterade or it was someone? It was Pixie and some other girl. I
Whatever.
haven't watched all of them, and it was a while ago. And
There
I
was
just
nothing
didn't.
disrespectful in those debates.
Well, I didn't think it was. I didn't think you were going to be disrespectful to me. That's why I didn't want to do. I was going to go on the dating one with you, and
Yeah.
that's what we agreed on.
But that makes no sense. I think I understand now. So the idea from you was there wouldn't be enough disagreement from us if we were having a debate
For it
or
to
a
be worth having a
conversation or something
conversation.
like that when that was offered up. And then so you tell Brian, well, I'm not going to do that, but I'll do a dating talk, and then we can do like the 30-minute conversation or whatever. You'll do it that way.
I didn't say the
But
30-minute conversation.
then it
I didn't say
became
that. I
Andrew
thought that it was
Mean,
just going to
right?
be the dating panel.
Yeah, sure. But then it's Andrew. But then
Well, you had a video go viral
Yeah.
that week.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like out of nowhere, I just decided. You had a video go viral that week where you were laughing at various women. I decided I didn't want to be part of that.
With
So it
that,
wasn't
you mean
like,
where that chick went crazy on me? That one?
no, it wasn't that one. I mean, you've gone viral. I mean, props to you, like like almost every week since then, or at least in our small insular community.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't that one. It was one where you were just like laughing at someone and it was just it was an unbecoming. I can't even remember honestly. It was how many 6 months ago at this point. But I remember seeing that, not wanting to deal with it. And then like I said, I was literally in the middle of a divorce. So it was like several different things
Yeah,
at
but you
once.
didn't say anything
And
about a divorce. You just said Andrew Mean.
well, of
And
course.
then it's
I'm not.
kind of reinforced.
You think the week of my divorce, I'm going to say, Brian, sorry that we don't know each other well at all. I'm going through a divorce right now. I didn't
Yeah,
even
that's
know that we
fine.
were going to
Well,
do
isn't
this.
that unbecoming? Like, isn't it unbecoming of you to instead make a Twitter post which says, well, Andrew
Well,
and
no, because
Rachel
I
are pretty
still
good,
didn't go
except they
on.
just can't change people's minds because they're actually bad people.
Well, okay, so
right?
you're thinking that now my divorce negates my actual opinion about you, and it doesn't. I still have those. I still would not go on a dating panel with you where I thought that you were going to denigrate any of the women, and where
Yeah,
I felt like I would
wait,
have to
wait.
protect
Would you
them.
So
denigrate any of
question
the
for
men on
you.
a panel?
On the whatever podcast, no, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't denigrate any of the men even if they were being absurd or obnoxious or stupid, or you wouldn't denigrate
Denigrate
any of them.
them? No, I would
wouldn't.
not laugh at them.
You
And
wouldn't
denigrate
laugh
them,
at
no.
them.
On something as big as the whatever podcast, no, I don't think
Didn't
so.
you laugh at Brian?
I don't think I laughed at Brian.
You did. I watched the whole thing. You laughed at him twice.
What did I say?
I don't remember the context, but there was
I
two.
don't think I was being
Yeah, there was a
cruel to
couple.
Brian. I think Brian and I both left that conversation feeling like, okay, that was like a good. I don't think that we had any distaste for each other.
I mean,
don't think.
then you wrote a hit piece about me, but
I did not write a hit piece about you.
you
If
called
you
me
had
a
read,
pimp. You literally called me a pimp.
wait, no,
And
I
you,
didn't.
yeah, you did.
No, you're thinking of someone else. I never called you a pimp. If you read my EV magazine thing, I actually spoke very well of you.
That's definitely not the impression I got. Granted, it was
I
like
never ever
ago.
called you a pimp ever. You're thinking about someone else.
I'd have to see the article again. Maybe you referred
It's
to
a
me as
good
like
article.
a digital pimp.
Nope,
But
I never said
wait,
even
wait,
anything like
wait.
that.
So we had you scheduled. Was it for December 15th? I think.
Yes.
Okay. When was your divorce proceeding initiated?
My divorce proceeding. Well,
Wow,
we had
okay,
separated.
Now you're laughing. You're laughing at Brian. You're laughing
No,
at him.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the situation because this is an extremely personal question, and I haven't been public about any of this. So I'm
well,
not really.
you just said you were going through a divorce. I'm simply asking.
Yes.
When did that start? When
Okay.
did that process start?
Okay, Brian. You're asking me a very personal question. Allow me to think of a way to answer this in a way that is protective of me and that person. We had separated around that same time, and I had moved out that week. It must have been within 24 or 48 hours where I was supposed to come, where it was final. In fact, actually, no, it might have been November, the last week of November, right after Thanksgiving. And then I think I had moved out that week. Yes, I had come back to our place to get all of my stuff that week. So
Okay,
within
well,
48 hours.
yeah, that's fine. It just seems like you're kind of walking back everything that happened because you canceled on us the day before you were otherwise
Brian,
supposed to
and I'm
appear.
sorry. And I am
Are
sorry
you going
for
to keep
doing that.
interrupting or are you going to let me finish? But go ahead.
Well, I'm going to interrupt you by when you think that I'm doing this in a malicious capacity because I'm absolutely not going to.
It absolutely was malicious, but go ahead.
It wasn't malicious. I have no qualms against you. I
Yeah,
don't.
so why the cattiness? Why the cattiness in the messages? Why not just be like, obviously I'm going to be frustrated when somebody cancels on us like the day before, and
Sure.
I wasn't even rude to you. I was just like, "Hey, look, Andrew's coming all the way from Michigan to do this. We've been
Which
trying.
is
I mean,
true.
Well,
we've been
I
hold on.
wasn't aware that you were coming just to talk to me, as I had said.
Well, no, not just to talk to you, but like that's a component of it. And this is further evidenced by the fact that I've specifically been trying to have you come on to do the show for months and perhaps
And
even
you
further back.
and you have canceled on me and not reacted. And when I was supposed to
Hold
come
on,
on
when
with
did we?
Michael Knowles, you said that you
Well,
just actually ghosted me for a few weeks, so you haven't been the best about scheduling either. But
we
I will
never
say,
scheduled any. Hold on, nothing was actually ever scheduled as it pertains to that. And I think this was right after you dropped a hit piece on me. So I
it,
wasn't particularly inclined. And by the way, you didn't even tell me,
Ryan,
hey, wait, hold on. You released an article on Evie about me and my show, and you
mhm.
didn't even reach out to me for commentary. Like, isn't there a component of journalism where you're going to like actually ask for input from
Well,
the
it was an
person?
op-ed, so it wasn't. No, I didn't need anything from you for my
You
opinion
didn't
piece.
need it, but like, hey, basically, we've had you come on the show before. We've been
I
talking about
spoke very
getting you back
positive of
on.
you.
Yeah, that's not really the impression that I got from
Okay,
your
well, you need to
article, but
reread it because I don't think that you were thinking of the same piece because I did literally speak
I'm
of you
pretty sure I read
positively.
it and it didn't seem particularly flattering. But it's just,
It
yeah,
wasn't I didn't flatter you, but it wasn't negative.
it was. Look,
But
I've read
what I
it a
will
while.
speak to get
It
out
was
of the
pretty
weeds,
unflattering.
I'm now that I'm rereading what I said to you afterwards, I was very snippy with you, and I'm sorry. I was going through a difficult time. I shouldn't have done that, and I am sorry for wasting your time. If I wish that that did not happen, and I'm taking accountability for that, I shouldn't have been bratty to you, at the very least. Um, I did feel that way though, and for some reason, I had felt that you being angry with me canceling last minute was silly because I'd been very accommodating to you when you had asked me to go on and then ghosted me afterwards. Um,
Look, I'd have to
so
go back in the DMs and see the nature
they're
of
there.
that exchange.
They're
Yeah,
there.
but did we have you scheduled? Yes or no?
Scheduled with like a day. No,
Yeah,
but
because I think there's a difference between just having a discussion of like, hey, this person's potentially coming on the show. Would you be interested? And absent some sort of like commitment or locked in, I think that's really different than just like we've been talking about months for having you come on. And I was like, hey, can we lock this in? I sent you the I think I sent you the well, I unsent it, but I sent you the pre-show information with like address, all that sort of information. And then the day before the
you
show,
did
you
give me
canceled.
a date and a time. You did give me a date and a time, and I said yes, that works. And then you actually didn't respond for weeks, and I said checking in does mean I have to make travel
I have
plans?
the article in front of me. Brian is his own type of giving up morality for
Yes.
money.
Yes, that's what it was.
Effectively
Yes.
moral equals with the women who come on the show peddling their OnlyFans. And yeah, you
Mhm.
do go on to essentially read out that he's a pimp. Yes.
No, that's not a pimp. And then go on, though. I also say that he's a man who is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, building capital, finding, that he's not necessarily cruel to these women. It's like a completely it's a very neutral piece on Brian, but also
You
not
call me a
not
dude. How is it neutral?
I believe because I think that you literally are in some way. I think that you are making I think that you make a lot of content slop for people to take that and sow destruction between the yeah. I don't think that whatever podcast is doing the moral positive that maybe you think it is, but I don't think that necessarily you think that the whatever podcast is a moral positive. I think that you believe it is kind of slop and you make money off of it. That's what I think that the show is. I don't think that that speaks to you being a bad person, but I think that you are selling something, and I think that you're selling your morals in a lot of ways. I think that it's unbecoming of a man to go on and ask a bunch of like random women what their body counts are, and then have that toted up for a show where women can then go in TTS like this stupid dumb. Like I don't think that that's positive. And I think that you are.
Explain to me what's wrong about asking somebody their body count. What's actually
Well,
wrong?
you're straw manning my argument. So what I had just said, and I'll repeat it to you, is that I think that you have sensationalized the calamity in the dating scene right now for your enterprise, and I don't think that that is a net positive for society. Or
wait, hold on. How would it
Seems to be.
How would it
Seems
be
to be a net positive.
sensationalizing? How would it be sensationalizing if this is actually the truth of these women's experiences? I don't see how purely offering them a microphone,
because this is not all of
purely
women.
offering them to. I don't make that claim, and we have plenty of women on the show who are not anything like that.
Like I said, Brian, I said this to Andrew earlier. I think that your best content is when it's like someone like Andrew debating, like another woman who is like principled and smart and educated, and not just like a on the street.
Mind you, which we offered to you, and you
Yes.
rejected the offer.
Yes, I don't think that it has to be me. I think that that is your best content. I don't think it has to be me always. And also, I have my own I didn't want to necessarily come on and debate about values when I had a failing marriage. I think that there are things that I don't have to extend to you all the reasons why I didn't want to do that at that point in time, right? But I do believe that that is your best content. I love when you do content like that. I think that the slop content is to some degree. Like I think that you are.
Yeah, how do you define?
I think that how would I define?
Like, is it?
Let's look up the actual definition. Well,
is it?
It's just selling favors for money. Is the definition.
And I think that you are selling for money. I mean, you have a lot of people on OnlyFans on, and
yeah, what percent? Tell me the percent.
Well, I don't know what the percentage is.
If you had a guess, just
probably 20-30%.
It's 15%,
yeah, very low.
Okay, well,
which, by the way, if it's 1 in 10 Zoomer women now on OnlyFans, it's actually a pretty good representation of the market.
Well, do you know actually how many it was at the beginning? Because when I was on the podcast, it was 4 women on a panel of like how many women. So it was a substantial amount of women, at least on the podcast.
Yeah, but that's how you're going to come up with the average, right? Is you're going to say, well, some shows may be all OF girls, and the
sure, I think it's the
various things that happen inside of their dating life, and then some have none. In fact, most have none, or some have just one.
I think maybe at the beginning of the podcast, more OnlyFans women were coming on, and let's keep in mind that I wrote that article over a year ago. So at that point, it is possibly true that you had more.
Well, no, the statistics actually for the show came out around the same time you wrote that article. In fact, so the stats on the show.
15% of women.
Yeah, it was about it's like 14.9%. So they just put it at 15. Yeah.
Well, then maybe I mean even the fact that you have this show and you let those women tout their OnlyFans. I think especially on my show when that redhead was saying, join my OnlyFans. I think that you kind of you didn't tell her to stop really, and you kind of jokingly said disavow.
Yeah, that's like when Destiny has to tout my channel because I go on his channel and I'm debating various issues.
I don't think so. I think that actually, if you were to be principled in your take, you would say if you come on my show, you absolutely cannot tout your OnlyFans. I think that would be the principled thing.
Yeah. How could you stop them from doing it?
You to ask them to leave if they do it, and then the same thing when
so
you
Brian,
come in and you say you can't have your phone on.
So Brian has told them multiple times not to shout out the OnlyFans, but you can't.
Tell them to leave.
Yeah, but you can't.
And then
you
can't
stop them from doing that. Not only that, it's not an unprincipled position.
You
the idea
can stop them from doing that.
The idea.
Stop that woman from going on her Tamagotchi and her phone, and also
they already did it. The damage is done.
Okay, hold on, Andrew. When you go on the show, you get this whole thing that's like, okay, please wear it's going to be hot in the studio, wear something that you would wear to the club. Like, you literally, you can turn away women at the door who are wearing little to no clothing, and you should, and you don't.
Why? Well, hang on. Why should he? It's the the
Because if
idea.
you're trying,
The idea there is to
because
showcase what these women believe and what they want to do.
and you don't have to make it people are watching with one hand on their on the keyboard. Like, I don't
That's
think that you need to do
ridiculous.
stuff like
What?
that.
What are you talking about?
That's
Okay.
ridiculous.
If you guys are going to be willfully ignorant, I don't know what we're going to. I don't know.
Well, there's no. I don't think that that's willful ignorance. I think the idea is that if you're going to have discourse with people, they're always going to want to get something out of the discourse. Always, no matter what. There's nothing you can do about
And you should
that.
avoid those women.
Yeah, the thing is, like, that doesn't stop it, does it? Like, this whole idea of sticking your head in the sand and the problem goes away is all. I would say that it's a lesser evil.
So why don't we
hang on?
just
I
join
would say
them?
it's a
So
lesser.
we should just join them.
Well, you're not
if you
joining
can't
them.
stop
It's a
it, let's join
lesser.
them.
It's a lesser evil, though. To
Let's move
have.
in camps then.
Okay,
Let's kill 'em all.
so chill out, so I can respond here. Right? It's a
But
lesser
you're-
evil. It's a lesser evil for a guy like Destiny, right? I would say that a guy like Destiny produces far more in the way of problems in the political scene even than OF girls do, things like this. However, no one's going to stop this guy from shouting out his channel, that's for damn sure. And the truth of the matter is that in order to have the conversations to tangle with the ideology, somebody has to get something out of it. I would say it's actually the least evil thing for you to say, okay, fine, you can shout out your Instagram or I'll link your Instagram, but we're still going to showcase this ideology. And if that's the only way that we can showcase it so that people can see what's going on, I think that the give and take is the only way to do it. It's not joining them. It's actually a repudiation of the thing.
I don't think so. I think it's a standstill. I think you're doing a Mexican standoff. I think especially with the women that I came on. I mean, those women came on to just be like, "Oh my god, I love," and like they didn't come on for a debate. They came on to like just tout their OnlyFans, and I think that you can absolutely.
Well, they're not
stop
always
women from
there.
doing
The
that.
dating talks aren't there specifically for debate. The dating talks are there to showcase what dating identity is like between different groups of people. And that's going to necessarily include workers. And if you want to hear what workers are talking about in the dating life, which is a human interest piece, and
You
people,
shouldn't. You should silence them.
you
should
can't,
absolutely.
you can't
you
silence
should.
them. Why do you think that
You
like
can
Adam?
and you
You
should.
do you think Adam 22 is going to silence him? Destiny's going to silence him? Vosh is going to silence him? No. What happens is they get the platform, right, to shout it up from the rooftops, and there's nobody there to give any pushback. This is the naive take from you. It's a naive take from you. Adam 22.
No.
Guys like this have massive podcasts. Guys like Destiny, massive podcasts. Guys like Vosh, massive podcasts. Guys like this have podcasts which dwarf Brian Atlas's viewership. And they have these people on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, zero pushback whatsoever. The kind of pretense here is that if there's somebody who's willing to give pushback here, you just ignore this like it's not going on. It's like, no, it's going on. It's just there's no pushback.
For it. I think that there should be stipulations for going on the show. I think that you should tell them to cover up. I think that, but this is not, again, this is not my show. So I can't tell you what to do, but this is what I think would be better. I think that you should tell them to cover up. I also don't think that you should just have any OnlyFans on. I think that you should probably, I mean, if you're going to have people from that side of the aisle, you probably want people like me, people like Merrick, people who, debate and also do work, even if you don't agree with them, right? I don't think that you should have
Here.
a random
For a dating talk?
Yeah. Let's do this. Lab. So, okay. You seem really passionate about this. You do all the guest booking for the show. You forward some people to me. You can instruct them on how you want them to. You can instruct them.
I thought it was a
I'll
moral.
let
I
them
thought it was a
address-
moral imperative here, Lab.
Let's all get involved.
Isn't it a moral imperative?
I mean, listen, Brian, genuinely, I think that you have a very huge platform. You could do a lot with it. If I was involved in any capacity, I would be grateful. I think that would be great. I also want to get paid.
Yeah, I don't know about this getting paid thing for a moral imperative. It sounds like you're trying to be a reverse.
Well, no, I'm not. Well, that's time.
Involving yourself in a show like this in order to get paid.
Doing work.
It sounds like a reverse. Like you called Brian.
Listen, my real job, Andrew, my real job is volunteer work. I don't get any money. If I'm going to do this extra thing upon getting a graduate degree, I would like to get paid a little bit.
Why don't you?
Sure. You know what? We'll do it. we'll do a referral fee.
Okay.
Cool. But I mean, I just have, I guess, a question on this. So I'd like to put a call to action towards you.
Mhm.
Earlier in the discussion with Andrew, you admitted to scamming men through your OnlyFans. Uh, and you seem to like kind of not care about that. You almost, it sounded like you think they deserve to be scammed because they're stupid and they want to like, they think they're going to be buying some like sort of pictures from you or whatever, but really it's pictures of your ferret.
Mhm.
That seems like a scam to me. Why don't you go ahead right now on this call and just go ahead and perma delete your OnlyFans?
Um, no, I gain too much money from the degenerates who think that they're going to see me
Interesting.
naked.
Yeah. So, but it's
So
okay
to
to
get
scam
this
men.
so to get this right, the same token when you say, wait a second, if men
I
are
don't say that
hope,
I post
hang on,
nude. I
men are
never
hang
say
on,
that I
Left.
post nude on my OnlyFans.
Okay,
Wait, hold on. Let me be
You
go ahead.
really
literally
clear.
said it was scamming.
But
You
I just
literally
want to
said it was
say
Yeah,
that
scamming.
I was
okay.
being. Hold on. Let
Go
me
ahead,
speak.
go ahead. Even though you had finished and I was speaking, but go ahead.
Well, listen. Let me speak. I never say that I'm nude on my OnlyFans.
Great.
I literally say
It's
publicly.
implied.
No, I say publicly all over my Twitter that there's nothing nude on my OnlyFans. And if you are going to be so intent on seeing me naked that you buy my OnlyFans, you can do it. And then you're going to be disappointed when you go on and there's no nudity.
How do you say out of the one side of your mouth though that these men are suffering from corn addiction and mental illness
And
and things?
also,
Hang on, and things like this, and then at the same time say that you're fine scamming mentally ill men?
well,
You
I'm not
said
really
they
scamming them,
deserve
right?
it. You said they
Um,
deserve to be
well, no,
scammed.
I think that you definitely deserve if you're trying to see me naked and you're bitter that you were not able to see me naked, I think that yeah, you deserve your anger and
But aren't you
you
suffering
deserve
from
that.
mental illness?
Aren't I?
Well, does
Well,
that make
isn't
it
anyone?
is that okay then? Because you suffer from mental illness to scam people who are mentally
Wait,
ill?
that's not no, I mean, I don't think that
Total.
viewing porn is necessarily
The
mental
the
illness.
moral it's kind of crazy, the moral grandstanding. Like you have an issue with like the way the women dress on my show, but you literally have an OnlyFans where you earlier in the call admitted you're scamming men. Why don't you delete your
Well, I don't
OnlyFans
have
right now? Delete it right now before we continue having a conversation about what some
well,
of
there's
the
also
women
I
wear
also
on my podcast.
hold on, Brian, I can tell that you're upset about, that comment. I don't think listen,
Yeah, I'm upset about you admitting to
if you
scamming
were to
men.
tout okay, if you were to tout first of all, if you were to tout the same thing as Andrew, if you were I don't know if you're a Christian, I don't know what you identify as. If you think that your show is has a moral imperative to help men get away from things like this, I think that you would already have, told women to cover up on the podcast. I think that you have a vested interest on
Brian's
making
not a
sure that they
Christian.
don't. Yeah, so I'm not even
Neither are
saying
you
that
though.
you sure. And I don't I think that if you're trying to do what Andrew wants to do, you should tell women to cover up. I don't even think that what you're doing is actually like wrong. I'm just saying if this is the argument, if you're trying to help men get away from things like this, I don't think that scantily clad women on the podcast is a way to do that,
Yeah, but
right?
I still don't understand. Like I
And then
did
also, hold on.
okay, go ahead.
Another aspect to me not deleting my OnlyFans is that my username will be taken and people will pretend to be me. And then two, I use OnlyFans as a wallet. So you can keep
A
money in
wallet.
OnlyFans. Yes, it's untaxable income.
Oh,
So
there's no other platforms that you could use like PayPal or Venmo or Cash App or just a bank. Hello?
I could you I mean a bank you would have to pay taxes on. But
What? Wait, you use OnlyFans as a wallet? What does that even mean?
so like it's a way to where you can keep your money. It's like crypto. It's like
Instead of a
your
bank?
yes. So if it's in a bank, you need to pay interest or you need to pay um like it's
But
taxable
you're
income.
gonna have to pay taxes on it the second you get a payout anyway.
Well, sure, but I also just moved to a
What?
place that was outside of California. So I either pay taxes in it once I gain residency in Illinois, I'll have to pay
I mean, they're gonna
significantly fewer
1099
taxes.
you at the end of the year, even if that's just
Yeah,
what's
you
into your
could.
account. That's silly. So not only
Yeah.
that, it's really what I don't understand is the beginning of the
I mean, I think that
conversation.
there's also plenty of reasons. I also don't know what I want to do with my OnlyFans. I think I might decide to I don't. There's a lot of ways that I could use an OnlyFans in like a creative way, like
Like
to.
scamming men with ferret pictures.
Ferret pictures?
No, like I think eventually, like I think Substack is a dying. I don't think that anyone has Substack, so I think that if I wanted to start doing like a Substack or writing and then post it onto OnlyFans, it could be a viable
Or what about Twitter?
source. Well, Twitter also, but when you're thinking of being like of I would like to. I don't need to. I don't need to do this with you.
Wait, you're gonna
I
publish? You're just to be clear, for credibility's sake, you're gonna
Yes.
publish your writing to OnlyFans, and that's gonna be like
Well, I
the
don't know what I'm gonna
spot.
do. Well, I
That's the
don't.
spot for people to access your deep thought writing.
Well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think that OnlyFans. I knew a lot of women who don't post nudity on OnlyFans anymore, and it's sort of just like a place. I think if I ever were to make like a documentary about my life and my walk away from this industry, I think that it would be a an interesting marketing tactic to release it on OnlyFans, the same way that like you had to pay
Can
to access Matt Walsh's What is a Woman on his website,
can you
right? Like I think it
answer?
would be.
Sorry, I'm just. Can you answer this for me? Because this is driving me crazy. So,
Mhm.
the beginning of the conversation, you said that I'm being abusive or cruel to women because they're suffering from anybody who would do this type of work is suffering from some kind of mental illness and they have some kind of trigger. Hang on,
This is what I said.
hang on, relax.
So
Just let me ask, and then you can
you
respond.
asked, and
I'm not done.
answering.
I wasn't done asking.
He didn't
Okay.
finish.
So anyway, they're suffering from some kind of mental illness, this type of thing, right? And so it's actually cruel what you're doing to them, right? Because they have these various triggers. Maybe daddy isn't in the picture, things like this, and so it's actually cruel for you to laugh at them and this and that. But corn addicted men who also would be suffering from mental illness by your metrics, you're catfishing them into going to your OF, and then you're taking their money, which would literally be the equivalent of laughing at them. Like that, and not only that, it's worse even because yeah, you could say I laugh at them and get paid, but you laugh at them, and get paid too. Like it was like, what are you talking? And those ones are even more mentally ill, right? So where's the moral high ground here, Laugh?
So in good faith, we literally just had this conversation 30 minutes ago. I don't know if you're reiterating it because you have more viewers now and you want them to hear it as well. But
Same amount of viewers.
Okay, well, we already went over this. I don't think that if you were doing it on a small scale, it would be as big of an issue as if you were doing it on a big scale. And also, I don't have a problem with ultimately, I don't think that you're a bad person for doing what you're doing. I think that it's mean what you do, and I think it makes me uncomfortable. It makes
Mean.
Well,
it so
isn't
that
that mean?
it
What you're
it makes
doing?
it so. And if you didn't want to talk to me because I was doing that, it would make sense.
Yeah,
So
but
if I
isn't it
didn't,
mean what you're doing?
so we both have different boundaries. Yes, I think it is mean. So I wouldn't want to go on with my value system. I wouldn't want to go on the whatever podcast and watch you denigrate and laugh at women.
I don't see how the scale determines the morality.
And if you
here.
didn't, and if I was scamming people on my own, if I was scamming people on the whatever podcast and you said, I don't want to go on the panel while she's doing that, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, you're just saying it's more moral because the scale of it is less than what I do.
No. So it's not just the scale, it's how many people are affected by it. So I don't want to be part of something where I feel like I'm going on a large platform with thousands of viewers and where I will be clipped in a video. If you do that and if it's clipped, if it goes viral, I don't want to be in a video like that. I don't want to be in the situation where I have to view you doing that. I don't want to be in the room while you are doing that. I don't want to be a part of something that is going to touch the interweb like that,
Well, you'll
right?
take advantage of mentally ill men who go to your OF and essentially steal their money.
I don't care about the people who are so desperate to see me naked. That
Then
even
I don't.
that they
Then
that
I
they
don't
that they
care about
bypass.
the
Hold
women
on,
who are so desperate to be naked.
hold on. That they bypass me publicly saying there's nothing nude on my OnlyFans, publicly being work, and publicly saying that there are no nude photos of me on there, even saying that there's no nude photos. I'm pretty sure in my bio. I definitely say that there's no nudity anywhere. But if you are so horny that you need to buy it because you're curious, yeah, I don't care about you. And nowhere am I saying there are nudes on my thing and there's no nudes. That's
And
not ever what's
nowhere am
happening.
I saying that I'm not going to laugh at you if you say something stupid.
Well, that's okay. So, do you see how this scenario is different? So, I say scamming because that's like it's the incendiary way to say what I'm actually doing, which is that I still have an OnlyFans up and you can still pay for it, but there's nothing new
Well,
on
I
it.
mean, I would consider it stealing. Essentially, it's just marketing under false pretenses. Even though you could say you
Well,
put
I'm
in
not. It's not even.
disclaimers.
It's not false pretenses. I've never said that there's anything, and my whole platform is work. So I don't think that there's I don't think that you could see my social media and in good faith say I've been
Yeah,
scammed
but I mean,
because
you can imagine that if I
I
went
think
in,
the idea that it is an OnlyFans itself
yeah, you can
is, I
imagine
guess,
if I
enough.
went into a store and it said "World's Best Energy Drink," and I grabbed it, and I went over and I paid for it and I drank it and went, wow, wow, where's my energy? And then I looked at the can and it had a disclaimer on it that said, by the way, this isn't really an energy drink. Ha ha ha, you're
So you're
fucking.
saying yes,
Hang on,
by the
ha, hang
nature
on,
of
hang
it
on.
being
Ha ha ha, you're stupid, and we took your money. Don't you think that I was scammed?
yes. So
Okay.
you're saying by the nature of it being an OnlyFans, then it's a scam.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I would probably disagree with you there. I think I know I'm obviously profiting off of the idea that like there are people who think that, right? It is not
Yes, very
lost on
clearly.
me.
Just like I think
It
it's
is
the
not
energy drink, right?
it is yes, it is not lost on me that people could think that. I just don't care about the men that are so horny and that they bypass me multiple times saying that I don't post on it.
And I don't care about the
Um,
women who are so desperate
and you don't have
to
to.
shill their OnlyFans that they're willing to go on and have their worldview eviscerated.
And listen, Andrew, you don't have
It
to.
doesn't
I
sound
just
like
said
it's cruelty to me. It sounds like
and you don't have to. I'm just not going to go on and so you do that. The same way if I went on the whatever podcast with you and I was like, guys, I have an onlyfans.com/femoid or whatever, and you were like, you'd be like, oh God, she's scamming men. I don't want her to do this here. You do the same thing and you're allowed to do that.
I'm not scamming anybody.
Well, no, that's not what I was saying.
Okay, well maybe I'm
I was
confused,
yes, I think that you are. I think that if I
but
was
I'm trying
going
to
on
unconfuse myself.
there are certain behaviors that if I went on the podcast that are more permissible just in my tiny insular community than if I'm on a widespread scale and I could potentially hurt more people, right?
I mean, it just seems like that just seems like it's cope. It's like
Wait,
you could
I think that
way more people this way, but still
you always
murdering
use
people
murder.
bad. Well, because when you make an
wait.
analogy, you're always going to make a comparison between two things which aren't the same. I'm just looking at something that
I
people
understand
hang
what an
on
analogy
that people
is.
universally believe is wrong, and so if we apply things to which is a universal ought that most people share,
Yes.
it's really easy for them to conceptualize what it is we're talking about. That's
Yes.
why I use it.
I also think
Makes
it makes
sense.
it a little it might make it a little bit bigger to the stupid people who are watching, which I'm sure are plenty because most of the population is pretty stupid.
Well,
How
they
much
don't
do you
have
make on your
138
OF?
IQs, that's for sure.
Huh?
Go ahead, Brian.
How much do you make on your OF? You said 2,000 a month.
Let's see. I haven't checked in a while. I
I think you said 2,000, but if
yeah.
well,
It's probably it's probably give or take $500 from 2000.
between 500 and 2,000.
Yes.
And I mean, so do you have what's the monthly sub fee? I guess is it $10, $5?
I don't even know anymore. I think it might be
Yeah.
15.
Okay, and so
Yeah, it's
it
15.
would
It's
seem to
16.
me that even though you're saying that, well, all these men, I'm not making representations as to what I'm posting on there, and then when they do finally spend the money and subscribe, they see these ferret pictures. $2,000 per month to be making. It's not clear to me if that many men, depending on how much your sub is or whatever, are spending $2,000 a month to go and see your ferret pictures. So it seems a little I don't know, like you're kind of, for you to be making that amount of money, it would indicate to me that there is perhaps some degree of misleading going on as to the content on your OnlyFans, because if you're just super upfront about it, like, hey,
Oh,
I'm not posting this.
there is a picture of my legs in a 7-Eleven toilet. There's no like here. I mean, I could literally show you it's on my
I'm
OnlyFans.
okay.
Hang on. No, we don't want
I'm
to see. We
good.
don't want to see. We don't want to see. We don't want to see.
No, I'm not gonna show you. It's literally like it's me baking a casserole.
Mm-hmm.
It's a casserole. It's my ferrets.
Mm-hmm.
It's let's see. It's my ferrets. It's here, let me go up. It's a drink in my hand.
Do you get
It's my
DMs from
nails
men?
getting
Yeah, that's
done.
fine.
Well,
Do you get
do
DMs
they
from
have
men?
to? Well, hang on one second, real quick, Brian. I'm sorry, but
Yeah, go ahead.
can these men see these pictures on your OF before they pay you?
No.
No.
No. Okay.
Wait, do you get DMs from the men, like any messages from the guys who subscribe and they're like, hey, whoa, I thought this was going to be something else, but I feel scammed. Do you get any DMs like that?
No, I have. Well, I can pay for nude content if that's still a thing. I have. Hey, do you still sell not safe for work content? Do you have pay-per-view content? Do you do customs? It's nobody's really mad that I'm.
But do you ever say yes and you're like, yeah, it'll be $50, and then they pay
No,
you
of course not.
$50 and then
No, of course
okay.
not.
Yeah. Well, how about this? You delete your OnlyFans and I'll have every single girl who comes on the show in a burqa. How's that sound?
Yeah?
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, yeah, we'll have them all in the burqa.
If
all
I
the
delete my
women.
OnlyFans right now, you'll make every woman cover up on
Every
your.
single
Do it right
every
now.
single woman.
Are we
you gotta
shaking on
delete it.
this?
Yeah, every single woman will have to wear a burqa from here on out. But here's the loophole: if they identify as a man, then they don't have to.
Okay, well, Brian, listen, if it's for the greater good of something like this, I might delete it.
Delete it right now.
Hold on, let me calculate how much money I'm losing a month.
Oh no! So